Good evening and welcome to another JCKC Sports Talk. So today we want to go ahead, John, and I'm Ken Connell, and my co-host is.
Yeah, I'm John GC Campbell from live and direct from Kingston, Jamaica.
So
Yes,
John,
man.
first of all, as usual, we want to say thanks to all of our listeners who have been subscribing to our Rossi's Brosis YouTube channel. We ask that you continue to do so, and we ask that you also sending your comments. And John, what's going on in the world of sports?
Well, so many things going on. Every week is a different kind of thing. But I want to start on a great note. You must have heard that the West Indies beat Bangladesh in the first test. You
Yeah,
know,
I knew you was going to start off with that one. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you, man. I am
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, because boy, we've been kind of struggling, so and a little win like this is always welcome. And they did quite well. I mean, they chased a score of 395 runs.
395. But
Yeah, and
you're saying it's a win. It's not an ordinary win. It's a
uh,
historic win.
yeah, because 395 is a lot of runs, and
Yeah,
they
it's
chased
a
that.
historic win. I think it's
Absolutely.
I think it's the fifth highest score ever been chased in Test cricket. And also we have a gentleman who actually he in his debut he ended up scoring a double century.
Oh yeah, Kyle Myers.
Carl Myers. And if you
Yes, yes, he did
remember,
remarkably well.
yeah, if you remember on our show when we mentioned about it, we had a little bit of I had a little bit of fear realizing that they were going to be going up against actually Sri Lanka was going to be going up against almost what we would consider to be a second 11. Then I
Yeah.
got a little bit nervous and I said, we can look at the bright side that these guys who are given the opportunity, all they need to do is go in and shine. And if they go in and shine, then they might earn themselves a spot on the team. And that's exactly what happened. This guy went in and he did such a great job that we have Clive Lloyd came out and saying that we need to allow this team to take the mantle and run with it. And he said we need to harness this team, make sure that we get sponsorship for them and ensure that we put them under contract and then we can nurture them into the type of cricketer that we're looking for. He said we got to stop living on this old name of West Indies cricket and we got to bring in a new breed of cricketers and maybe this is a good start. So let's see if they're going to do what Clive Lloyd and others are envisioning. I think this is the best thing to do. These guys are already in the side. Just try to find a way to get the necessary sponsorship and build on this.
Well, we wish Kyle Myers and the team, and there's also Nakrumah Bonner from Jamaica who on both occasions he scored a half a century. So that's there's some good spots of optimism, should I say, in the side. And we sincerely hope they can continue on to great things.
Yeah,
But we're moving on though. Go ahead.
the second test actually started. Sorry about that. The second test actually started also, and I think they started off with 81 without loss, and then they went to lunch, and after lunch they lost like 3 wickets for 29 runs. And I
Yes.
think we should know that this guy that we're talking about, Myers, is that he also um, you know ended up not out with 3 wickets in hand when they won that test. Also, it's worth mentioning.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you
Absolutely.
can go ahead now.
And just to cap it off, and that was on his debut in
That's what I was
history.
saying.
That's
Yeah.
when that's your first time, and so that's
Uh-huh.
But I was about to say also that on a not so happy note, Les Ling, who was one of our first Olympians,
Yes.
part of the quartet of Wint, Roden, McKinley.
Mm-hmm.
He died recently on last Sunday. He
Right.
was 90 something years, 95, I think.
95 years old. Yeah.
Died, Les Ling, Olympian.
Yeah,
You know,
95.
yeah,
He would have made 96 February the 19th.
yeah. So he's one of the Olympians from the Helsinki Olympics, 1952 Olympics. Gold medalist 4x4. So champion, you know. So he passed on. We say we lift our hat to him, and you know, what can I say? Journey on, the journey continues, you know.
Yeah, and I also want to mention too, again, I want to add to it that, it was a world record winning 4x4 team. That was
Oh
a
yeah,
world record.
yeah, yeah. They broke a record, smashed a record that
Yeah.
was held for 22 years.
Mhm.
That so when they broke a record, that was a record that was being held for 22 years. Now that's remarkable. We've been doing remarkable things for a very long time, you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
he actually ran the 400 meters too at that Olympic. I think he came in fourth or fifth. I can't recall.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but so we only have one of those guys remaining now. We only have Roden remaining because remember that Arthur went past back in what 1996, I think it was.
absolutely,
No, 1992. Arthur went past in 1992, and Herb McKinley passed in 2007.
right, right.
And so hopefully we we can get back to this level, man, at the 4x4
Well,
because
I don't, yeah, yeah. I think it's not beyond us, you know. But
no.
again, as we keep saying, it has a lot to do with resources
Hmm.
and how we apply these resources that we have. You know, it takes training and facilities and all that we have spoken about. Last week we spoke about the absence, for instance, of a running surface, a proper running surface in the western end of the island.
Yes.
I mean, if we wish to move forward in terms of advancement in terms of athletic sports program on a whole, we have to have facilities.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get serious. If we're gonna invest in it so that we can, reap rewards, then we need to invest in it, and don't play lip service. It has to be that way. If we want to compete at the global level, we have to have facilities and infrastructures. As simple as that.
But you know what I was looking at though, John, a lot of the development from the western section did occur on grass and dirt track. So I think the coaches from the western section, I think mainly what they're concerned about is that they need facilities in that area so they can have development meets there also.
Well,
It's
that's
not so
it.
much,
That's it. It's a
it's
part of
not necessarily for practice alone because they do
it's
very well
development.
practice. Yeah, it's
Development.
just for development meet and
Yeah.
so forth. So, it's something that definitely is needed when it comes to development need. Look at for example right now the challenges that we face as a result of COVID.
Right. Right.
That would be a great help as a result of that. If we could have meets in the western section because you can't use based on the protocol that they have laid out by Ministry of Health and Sports working together. There are certain things that you're not allowed to do right now. So it would be important, it would be very helpful if we had another facility in Western Jamaica so that you can spread out the meets because that's what I noticed that they're trying to do, that they have all the meets pretty much scheduled on the same weekend. One is going to be at GC Fast, another one is going to be at Calabar and so forth. You know what I mean? So having one in the Western section would definitely help when it as it relates to traveling and so forth.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
there is a lot going on as it relates to track and field. And last week I got a chance to look at Christopher Taylor, and in my opinion, looking from his race, I see that he need to get a lot of strength work done.
That's surprising.
He reminds me of a young Usain Bolt, and I said the same thing about Bolt. Right now, it's still very difficult for me to look and say, well, I think this guy is going to be a great 400-meter runner, even though that is his primary event. And also to say, well, maybe he should go to one or two because he's good at all three. He's performing at the level with all three, whereby he could select any of the above and would do very well. But I know that based on the race that I saw, he definitely have to work on his strength.
But,
I don't
but
think
that
he ran the race bad. I don't think strategically he ran the race bad. I just think about the same problem that I see with our 400-meter runners, whereby we know that fatigue is going to set in for the last 75 meters or so. But you have to. That's the time when you start thinking about the hill training that you do. and pretend like you're running up a hill. So you maintain your form coming in the last 7500 to 75 meter, maintain your form, stay relaxed and finish the race, but it always seems as if these recent 400-meter runners that we have from Jamaica, that when they get to that stage of the race whereby they should be focusing on what the coach teach you as it relates to staying relaxed and finishing the race, it's not happening. They're fighting to get to the finish line. And the more you fight, it reduces the chance of getting to the finish line, because here's what is happening. You're channeling your energy in the wrong place. You need all the energy to be in your legs. So the moment you start fighting and moving your head up and down, then you're channeling energy in the wrong place.
I'm surprised that you mentioned that he seemed to be lacking in do you say strength or so? I'm surprised because he's in the United States, where I figure the best of training should be his. I don't see why he should be short of any facet of training at all. I mean, strength training, and maybe it could be that, at the where he's at in his period of training, already his stage of training, maybe he's not at his strongest yet. I don't know, but I'm surprised that you mentioned that.
That's correct. But remember, I think that a part of the problem could be also that he's coming back from some injuries. Sometimes the person might be there physically 95, 100%, but mentally they're not there yet. Considering the fact that he's a very young athlete, he might be just protecting himself a little bit, but it's not the same Chris Taylor that I've watched for a number of years. He didn't finish as strong. You could see that he was struggling somewhat towards the finish line.
Well, that's understandable. If you've been injured and you're coming back, then we understand. But I want to mention quickly, though, that just last week, our government, Jamaica, had announced that given a green light for the resumption of sport activities here on the island. You remember we had that put a block on all sport. They have now announced that sport can be resumed, but it has to adhere to some strict and established protocols. Any deviation from the protocols, and they're going to pull the plug again. So we wait to see how this pans out. So the footballers are happy, the swimmers are happy, the netballers, all of them are quite happy that the government has announced this plan to resume sporting activities. Albeit this will be done without spectators. I mean, sport is about spectators, but this time we won't have the spectators at most of these events. It's really about the development of the athletes for future endeavors.
Yeah, but now we're going to see with the COVID protocols in place and so forth, it's not going to be like business as usual, like we were saying. But this is when we're going to find out how good our coaches really are. And they already have a blueprint to work from, because remember, they had the MVP velocity meet during the summer, and it went well. With the COVID-19 was still on then. What I mean? So now we got to see how these coaches can make adjustment during this and be a little bit more creative in their planning. So hopefully they can use that MVP, whatever it was called, I think velocity meet it was called. They can use it as a blueprint, and they have something to work from. So this is going to be a test for the coaches that we have in Jamaica, to see how well they can use that blueprint and add something to it to be more creative and get the work done, because Olympics is right around the corner, right?
And World Junior Champs.
Right, and exactly. So that's what these coaches are for. They need to make sure they put things together and make it very effective for the runners. Like I said, it's not going to be the same. We know COVID-19 is out there, so you have to draw something that is totally different. So your creative mind have to come into play.
That's coaching.
And we'll see how that work out.
But I also want to bounce on you. You should have told me that. Sorry, I'm saying that you should have told me that.
I was gonna say we're still on track and field. There's a lot. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say to you that you should have told me that you have a extraordinary chef in the United States, a chef from Jamaica, who's
Yes.
preparing um, exotic meals and highly nutritious meals for the top NFL players. This fellow by the
Mhm.
name of Darian Brand from Jamaica. He's
Yes.
now the what they call it, the chef for many of the several of the NFL stars. That's a big thing.
Yes. Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just learned about him recently. I'm sure you must have heard, but you didn't tell me.
No, the article I actually learned about him about a week ago or so. The article was published, and of course, that's gonna make us all proud because
Yes, man. Yes,
we
man.
know
It's
that
great.
not only are we good at track and field, but we're also good at fueling our bodies properly, right? So when we see a Jamaican,
Preparing
yeah, a
in terms of
Jamaican
the
who is able
preparation
to
of
go
food.
and do that, then it's applaudable. It's something that we need to applaud. But
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
also we I still there's so much about track and field. I don't think we can cover everything today. But
Massive.
Brianna Williams is supposed to open her season. She's supposed to open her season on Saturday. It's supposed to be at the New Balance Grand Prix that was usually held in Boston, but it's going to be held in New York this year. And I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. Her coach is saying that she's ready and that she's excited, but I'm a little bit nervous when I see young athletes start off this season running the short sprint. She's going to be running the 60 meter by the way. And I remember that she was scheduled to run a meet in the Bahamas that she canceled, and she was going to be running the 150 and the 300, and I got excited because I'm going from what I like to do, and what I think is best for the athlete. Young athletes kind of get overexcited sometimes and go out and push themselves a little bit too much early in the season. So I hope my mouth doesn't cause any problem when it comes to that. I hope she comes out of this race healthy without injuries. But I get a little bit nervous when the adrenaline starts flowing. Then they maybe push themselves a little bit too hard and go get hurt this early in the season. So I would have liked to see her maybe in the 200 meters or the 300 meters instead of the 60 meter. But let's hope that Archibald know exactly what he's doing, and
I'm
that
sure he
that's
does.
the right event for her.
For
I
sure.
do trust him though. I do have a lot of confidence in the guy. I think he's a very bright guy as it relates to track and field, and I do believe that maybe he already um, analyze the whole situation and think that she'll go out there. Maybe even talk to her just like what I'm saying. Maybe talk to her and say, you know what, you're at about, just go out there and run about 95%. Because I would definitely don't want to see her try to push it up to 100%.
No,
Anywhere from 90 to 95% would be fine with me.
I'm sure he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a world class coach. He has a world class athlete. He has a wealth of knowledge out there ahead of him. He has been through it himself.
Yeah.
There wouldn't
Mhm.
be any room or need for any kind of undue experiment, which could lead to um, premature injuries or anything like that. So I'm going to say to him
Exactly.
that here, he's all right. He'll do his thing.
And last but not least, again, this is going to be loaded with track and field because it's track and field season. So everything is going to be. So then Andre DeGrasse, you remember that fellow?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. So he was the guy that was in that famous photograph with Usain Bolt, 2016 Olympics,
Oh yeah.
when in the semifinal he eased into the finish with Usain Bolt. When Usain Bolt looked across on him and gave him the approval, yeah, yeah, so he believed that the mantle was handed down to him by Usain Bolt, and he's saying right now that he's ready to take up that mantle and run with it because he got the approval from Usain Bolt. But John, this is something I wanted to bring in. That's why I had to discuss this. And by the way, he's also talking to Christopher Taylor because they're a tumbleweed. They're both a tumbleweed. That's Rena is a coach there, and he's rated as one of the best in the world. So he's also talking to Christopher Taylor. But I go back to this. This is something that I want to discuss with you. There are so many athletes who are looking at Usain Bolt and they're comparing themselves to, I want to be a Usain Bolt. You know, but let's look at a little bit, you being in the clinical position that you're in. I'm looking at these athletes and I'm seeing people who have just about the same physique like Usain Bolt. But when we look at the biomechanics of the individual, I still haven't seen anybody, you know, who I think is going to be a Usain Bolt yet. You know, maybe I'm looking at people who have the physique about the same height and everything. But remember, Usain Bolt had all of what it takes to be fast. You know, people used to complain about it a little bit and say, well, you know, he's not a fast starter. But Usain Bolt wasn't a slow starter either. You know, so when you think about what makes a person fast, then Usain Bolt was able to get out of it. He had a very good reaction time for a tall guy. It was 6'4", and had a very good reaction time. And his stride length was longer than anybody else, right? Plus, he turned over his leg as fast as anybody else. So tell me how these guys expect to be a Usain Bolt when you look into those things. So you'd have to go out there and you would have to be able to lengthen your stride length and turn your legs over as fast as Usain Bolt. I'm just looking at three important factors that determine how fast you complete a race. You know, so tell me about it from your perspective. Do you see anybody? I don't know how much you watch track and field, but do you see anybody based on biomechanics that's going to be able to match up?
Mind you, we have not seen in recent times a lot of track and field in terms of runners. Simply, well, over a year now, we have not seen much in terms of seeing people running because of the conditions that we're faced with, the restrictions and so on. But having said that, whilst you can look at a person's build and his height and breadth and his appearance of strength, what you can't see is their genetic makeup. You can't see their genetic disposition.
Right.
That is something inherent. And that can only be manifested on the field at the time, you know?
Exactly.
Regardless of what we want to think, Usain Bolt is an exceptional athlete.
Very much so.
Not only was he blessed genetically, but also mentally and psychologically, he was at a place where it's difficult for any athlete to bring themselves, for average athlete to bring themselves to that level of, I want to say, commitment, dedication, all the above, all the adjectives you can think of. It's difficult for any one person, any human person to do that. He was an exceptional person with that. You know, that kind of person who can say, hey, I'm going to do this, and nothing stops them from doing it. As I said, you know, if people see Usain Bolt train, when he used to train at UE, you would cry because sometimes he would train and go on the side and spew up. He trains that hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so the average guy would say, no, sir, I'm not doing that again. I'm out of that, you know. And this is why I'm saying that he retired early in that he could have done maybe 2 or 3 more years, you know. But he retired early because he knew what it takes for him personally to do that again. To do that again wasn't the easiest, and he wanted to kind of, as you would say, live some life, you know.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm glad you pointed that out because the guy was blessed with that Act N3 gene, and most people don't realize that that's the most important part of what makes a person fast is your genetic makeup. So you really, technically, a coach doesn't make an athlete fast. They can train him how to, you know, to maximize what was given to them already
Yeah,
by their
that's
parents,
right.
actually.
That's correct.
So
That's correct. That's
yeah,
correct.
so then I should have pointed that out too, because that is very important, and it's important for us to know that. So that's what a lot of people know. So when you look at a Noah Lyons and you look at a Andre DeGrasse, Andre DeGrasse looked like somebody who maybe have a chance and Noah Lyons, but then they have to bring all of what we spoke about so far. They would have to bring all of that to the game in order to do that. And you know what happened? And we're gonna move on. You know what happened, though, John, is I still don't believe that Usain Bolt has reached his ceiling. I don't think that world record I think he could have run faster than that with the right type of competition, to be honest with you. So he's one athlete that I believe in track and field, retired from the sport and did not reach his ceiling. He could have gone faster. I would have liked to see him and Blake the year when he got disqualified from the 100-meter. I would have liked to see that race.
Yeah, that would have been a race. That would have been a race. But you see, things are so unpredictable. It could have been a situation where Blake was now so motivated, so inspired, and so wanting to carry the flag forward. No, this is my time. Bolt is not in the race no more.
Right.
This is my time. I am going to give it my all. And that's exactly what he did. Now, maybe if Bolt had been in the race, again, psychologically say, well, all right, Bolt is in the race. All right. Maybe I can hold a second. We cannot dispute, we cannot write off the psychological influence of
you never know
any athlete, basketball, anything. It's an amazing feel, amazing feel. But yeah, I gather you have a guest.
Yes.
Tell me about the guest that we're supposed to be inviting.
So we can invite her in right now, and we can go from there. Sir John, just invite her in, and I'll introduce her. And I'm excited.
That is Miss Angela.
Yeah, Angela.
Yes.
Paulina. Angela Paulina.
Okay.
Is she on?
She's
all right, Angela.
She's making her way now.
Angela, I'm excited. Welcome to Rossi's Brosis YouTube channel. Welcome to the JC Sports Talk. And John, guess what? This is for the ladies. I'm excited because we have a few ladies on with who are members of Brosis, and I have to cater for the ladies. So tonight's show is dedicated to all the ladies of Brosis and all our female listeners. So Angela is a certified yoga instructor, and so she's going to bring us the knowledge that she has as it relates to yoga. And I'm sure some of the female listeners that we have are waiting to hear about what is it about yoga, why yoga has become such an important part of the competitive world of sports, or the competitive world of exercise. So Angela, why don't you tell them what year you graduated from Rossi's and any other little trimmings you want to add to that?
1992, class of 1992. Amazing time at Rossi's High. I can't say enough about that school. I love it, love it.
So let me ask you a question. Because we have a bunch of footballers on the forum. Let me ask you a question. Which footballer do you remember from the 1992 team? Because I don't know anything about the 1992 team. So tell me about a famous footballer from the 1992 team.
Oh, putting me on the spot now.
Well, if you don't know, it's fine. I just want to see if there's anybody that is on Brosis from the 1992.
I can't think of anyone right now. You got me on the spot. I can't think of anyone.
Okay, good. So I'm going to let people know this. But so Angela, I know a lot about Angela, and Angela was, before she even started attending Rossi's, was a very good athlete. So one of my biggest regrets is that I left Rossi's High School before she got there, because she would definitely be on my track and field team. I know, because I know her that much. So but it's all about yoga. John, you wanna throw the first question at
Well,
Angela?
I'm well. Welcome, Angela. Welcome to the program.
Thank you,
So glad to
John.
have
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
But I'm kind of interested in what is the training like in terms of being a, is it a yogi? We call it a yogi, right? Am I correct?
Yes, I'm considered a yogi. That's what we call ourselves.
But
Yeah,
what's are there varying levels of expertise, and what is the training? What's the training like? What's the training to be?
So we have to complete a 200-hour course of yoga, which is a yoga class. It depends. You can probably do it. I did it on a weekend because I work full time, and yoga was just a part-time thing I decided to do. So it's a 200 hours that you have to complete for the training. And once you complete that, that goes over kind of like just basic yoga stuff, alignment, the philosophy of yoga, where it all started. So yes, you do have to complete that training. And once you're done, you get a certification and then you move on to teaching.
Right. So are there various tiers though? Are there various levels of this?
Yes, there is. There's a 200-hour. There's also a 300-hour and a 500 hours of training. So basically, those two would just be continuing education. So you've completed the 200-hour. Now you're looking into possibly teaching advanced classes, or maybe just learning more about the meditative side of the whole yoga practice.
Oh,
Then
okay.
you can complete the 300-hour or 500-hour course. Also, if you want to do like teacher trainings, there's a lot of retreats and stuff like that.
Okay.
You would need those in order for you to be able to do those type of things.
Right. Because I've heard of, for instance, as you talk about retreat, I've heard of institutions here who they would have gone to in our case, the North Coast at a hotel,
Mhm.
and they'd have a yoga master there or a mistress
Yes.
there
Yeah.
who just guide them through stress relieving
Yes.
protocols and so on, which I
Yes.
thought was quite interesting.
Mhm.
So
I haven't been on one, but I'm looking forward to it
Okay,
yeah,
so
one day.
I have a question for you, Angela.
Uh-huh.
My question, there are so many things out there that you could have done for wellness and prevention.
Mhm.
Why yoga?
I have always been into fitness. Always, always. I've just always been like you said, I did tracks in high school. I've been working out since I was 21 years old when I moved to this country. And I wanted to do something else, something different than just working out, lifting weights, doing cardio. So I decided to take a yoga class at the gym. I signed up for a yoga class. I took the class and I absolutely loved it. I started with the physical aspect of the practice, just wanting something different, something challenging. And then now yoga has just become something a little more than just a physical part of it. Also, the meditative part of it has captured me. A lot goes on with our bodies, with our minds. There's so much going on right now, especially with this whole COVID-19 and this whole thing with the the color of your skin and all that stuff. It's just, I wanted to do something. I wanted to get this, do something different, do something different. And then the meditative side came in. That's what I was getting to. The meditative side of the practice just caught my attention, where now I feel like I need the yoga. I need to release this tension. I need to something else, and just dealing with everyday life. It's just something to de-stress me. And that's where the yoga came in. So that's when I fell in love with it.
So what I'm getting from you though, as you speak, is that there are at least two components to yoga.
Yes.
There is this physical / exercise side, and then there is a psychological / mental side.
You got it.
Right? Is that so? And all this can be is brought to the fore during the training, during the 200 or 300 hours of training.
Correct. So basically, yoga is it's set up to get the mind and the body connection, get that awareness with the mind and the body. And from there, that's where we find our balance. So, we have so much going on in our daily lives. This mind and body connection is where we find our balance, whether it's on our mats or off our mats in our everyday life, and we take it into our everyday activities.
Okay, interesting, very interesting.
Okay, how do you warm up and cool down for yoga? Every discipline has a warm up and a cool down process. What's yoga warm up and cool down process like?
So warm up for me, and warm up should be for most people. But if you're, of course, if you're a yoga practitioner, we do what is called sun salutations, which is a sequence of postures saluting the sun. You move from like a downward dog position to a standing back bending. It incorporates a lot of different movements of the body just to get a little bit of everything warmed up. So for me, usually after my sun salutations, if you're just at home and you want to try the yoga poses, doing it yourselves, the key poses for me, or the key places that I want to open, are my shoulders, my hips, and my hamstrings. So those are my target areas when I'm warming up after my sun salutations.
But you know that brings me to ask you to pose something to you, because I'm here seeing a group of office people going to the North Coast to do a retreat, and they're going to be doing yoga as well. Now, obviously, there are going to be some persons who are, should I say, more advanced.
Correct.
And there are some persons who are maybe intermediate or beginners.
Correct.
And I sense that yoga has a lot to do with flexibility
and
suppleness. How do you work a person who is raw, beginners, never, sitting in a chair all day, drive home all day. How do you fit them in?
Yes.
Without tearing them apart.
I can relate to that. I teach right now at a gym, so I get all levels of practice. I have students that take my class every single week, pretty advanced, and I have students that just walk in and, the doctor says, "Come, let me for me to take a yoga class," and they walk into my class. And I have to find ways to make sure everyone's satisfied when they leave my class. So there's always modified versions of the practice, always. So I'm always going to talk to them I'm always going to start with the most basic posture. And then for the other people, I said, or you can advance and move into a little bit more extreme. And then I will go ahead and show them that version of the pose. So so you have to find that middle area, the basic posture, which we start off with first, and then I can advance into something else. And they could just hang out where they are. It just means it's just whatever feels good to your bodies.
Yeah, because I've met people who can barely bend down. Young people who can barely bend down and tie the shoe.
Yes, and I've had those in my classes too. I know exactly what you mean.
Tear.
I think a lot of them need to do yoga. Not only bend it down,
we all need it.
But a lot of them need the mind. If not, they don't retain information as well. So I guess yoga is ideal for this generation.
Yes.
I think every member of this young generation should be doing yoga, because it gets a balance between the mind and body. Because
Correct.
Okay, but I have a question relating to, we talked, and you mentioned to me, because I was saying to you that one of the reasons why I wanted to bring yoga on is because we want to be very creative on this show. We want this show to be one of a kind. And so we were going to be exploring different disciplines that could be brought into athletics to impact athletics in a positive way. And so when I mentioned that to you, I said that I was trying to figure out how I could merge yoga with, for example, track and field or football. I'm talking about the real football now, not American football.
Got it.
So then you mentioned to me that there are various types of yoga. Can you tell us about some of the most common types of yoga, and also what is the type of yoga that you specialize in? First of all, let us know the type that you specialize in, and let us know the different types.
Yes. So I have three. I kind of jot down three of them that I think are most common, because there's tons of them out there. But there's Hatha, which is the most standard yoga. That's the most basic. That's what you learn in teacher training. And then you can kind of branch off into other things. There's also Vinyasa, which is a more vigorous yoga. So if you're looking for more, it's also called power yoga. It's a little bit more of a yoga where you're always flowing into a different pose from one to the other. You never take a break. So you're consistently going. You probably wouldn't even be sweating in a vinyasa class. And then there's a yin yoga, which is really, really amazing for the body. That's the one where they usually target certain areas of the body, the hips or the shoulders. This class is usually about an hour long, and they focus on the same area of the body. So if it's your hips, you would spend about 5 minutes for each of those hip openers. So that's yin yoga. But for the basic person just starting off, it would be a hatha yoga class for them.
So which one do you specialize in? Or which one do you personally?
I specialize in vinyasa. That's what I teach. So vinyasa is a more vigorous type of yoga. It's postures stringed together to create like a nice flow. You really never take a break and you're moving from one pose to the other. That's the vinyasa practice.
Okay, interesting. But so let me ask though, if in terms of this, how do you see yoga benefiting the sports person?
Oh wow, good question.
Let me say the athlete, you know. If you were to say it to someone, well, you're saying it now to people are listening to you. How does yoga benefit the sports person? What
the list goes on and on. As far as strength, there's a balance. It helps with their flexibility. It also it increases power. It better endurance. Because like I said, that yin yoga class, you're there in one pose for 5 minutes, you're enduring whatever is going on in the body. It also improves your balance, enhance recovery, and of course, last but not least, prevent injuries.
Okay. And would you say the same thing for the average, should I say, sedentary type person listening to what would you say would be the benefits to the sedentary, to the average person, not the sports person, but the average person, you know?
Oh yeah, for the average person, that same thing. Strength, flexibility, balance. I always tell my students that standing balancing postures are really good because as you get older, one of the first things to go is your balance.
Absolutely.
So standing balancing postures are amazing for that. Also, I have a lot of students in my class that they have back pains. Yoga is very good for back pains. It also helps with arthritis pains. It helps you to manage your stress level from all the breath work, all the meditative side of it. And it also releases stress, so that way you get to sleep better. It takes all that weight off your shoulders, so you can sleep better.
Absolutely. I have come across a lot of persons who have what we call Parkinson's disease. And I have read where yoga has been proven to be quite beneficial to persons with Parkinson's. Now, I have treated persons here, Parkinson's disease persons, with what I refer to as therapeutic exercise, and they have benefited a lot. I mean, I had one client who was not able to, well, let me put it this way, after a few weeks of therapeutic exercise, his joy was that he was now able to put on his pants without falling over.
Wow.
So his balance had improved, and it's just his body control and his kinesthetic awareness had improved.
Right.
Have you come across any kind of recovery or improvement in cases of the sort, you know?
I just had one. You broke up there for a minute, but I just had like one student. I remember asking me that he had what was it again? I'm trying to think of the name of what he had. And I had to go ahead and research it. I had to go online research to see what yoga poses were good for that. Because of course I'm not a doctor, I'm a yoga instructor, but I still want to be able to guide my students if they're having issues with back pain or something like that. I want to be able to research it and see what yoga poses can help them. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's researching it pretty much.
Out of all the discipline that you talk about in yoga, I can't remember all the names, but which one would you consider to be the most difficult? And then a second part of the question would be, how would I determine which one is best for me?
Okay. So I teach a vinyasa style yoga, like I said, and that I would consider the most difficult because the vinyasa is kind of like you're still getting some kind of, I would say like a cardio workout while you're doing the yoga. Also, it includes a lot of inversion, arm balancing, it's a lot more involved than just simply hatha yoga. The other two are a little bit more restorative yoga. And if you're looking to start yoga, I would say at the gym, usually it's the most basic classes that we teach there, as well as if you're going to go to a yoga studio, just call the studio, do your research, call the studio, ask them what classes they offer, let them know your level of expertise on the yoga, or where your level is on the yoga practice. And then from there, you just decide what class suits you. So just doing your research pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that I've seen some yoga classes in action. I noticed that they tend to be barefooted.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that?
I think, you know, for me, I would think it's because you tend to slip a lot, because we end up doing most of the time throughout the class we're on our feet and our hands, and you tend to slip a lot. So with the socks, I always tell my students, don't wear socks, because you're always going to slip on those mats. They're not made for you to wear with socks.
Okay.
Oh yes, that's probably why. You don't need socks when you're practicing yoga. No shoes either.
Yeah, you're right. Because I was, my own thought was that you notice they talk about earth, connection to the earth.
Right.
And, you know, barefooted and being
and true, yes.
And planted.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which I thought was quite interesting.
I have to ask you this. Right now currently we're seeing like what I would consider to be a fitness revolution. How does yoga fit into this fitness revolution that deals with wellness and prevention?
Well, yoga it's like I said, it's all about the mind and body connection. So we practice the physical aspect of the practice, and we also practice the meditative side of the practice. And in this day and age, I mean, whether you're exercising at the gym or working, whatever it is, our everyday lives get so chaotic. And I feel like yoga is that medium line that we need. We come home, we take a breath, we take a moment of our time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just get into a meditative zone, just kind of disconnect and just recovering and feeling refreshed the next day, just to start over. So it's not so much on the physical side, it's more of just the meditative side, I think, for me, because after the practice and just getting rid of all that stuff that we tend to store in our bodies, and then just taking the moment of time just to take a few breaths or inhales and exhales and just calm the body down. So I think we need that medium right there. Yes.
Right.
That was going to be my next question. Sorry, John. That was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you, but because you touched on it, I want to jump ahead of John. No, how important is inhale, exhale? Because they say it deals with the mind. And I know when you deal with the mind, any type of exercise that is balance between mental and physical, then breathing becomes very important. Inhale, exhale. So tell me about how the inhale, exhale, how the importance of it when you're doing yoga.
So especially when the postures becomes a little bit more intense, breathing is so important. I can't stress that enough. So as you inhale deeply, and when you get more into the pose, exhaling, it just helps you to control the posture a little bit better. Same thing in life. I mean, if you ever heard, they will say, there's like a saying where just take a few deep breaths. That's what it does for you. It calms you down. It calms the mind down. Doesn't matter where you are. When you step into a yoga class, I guarantee you, when you walk out, you'll be in a whole different mindset. It's all about the breath work. All about the breath work.
Yeah. How would you in terms of that, like when we're training, for instance, strength training, all kind of training, it's recommended mostly that you do in terms of the frequency of it, 3 days a week, every other day, every day. How would you, tell our viewers, how would you frame that? What would you say? Let's say I'm just starting out.
Okay.
What's the frequency for training per week?
For if you're new to yoga and you're looking to try it out, I would say 10-15 minutes a day is good. Right now we have
per day.
Correct per day. I'm sorry, per day. There's YouTube where you can get classes on there. You can, because the problem I think a lot of people have is that they don't have a class to go to, so they might want to do it from home. So when you're home, there's YouTube channels that you can get classes from. You could get creative that way. So just you could do your practice in your own living room. But I would say if you can do 15 minutes a day, that would be great. I practice because I'm a yogi. I practice at least an hour every day. If I don't get an hour, I might do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but I'm always stretching. Every day I stretch.
Okay. John, I gotta ask this question because obviously there is no female co-host, and I'm certain that I'm going to be asking some of the questions that the ladies would have asked no. So my question is, Angela is laughing because I sent her my questions already. Can a woman practice yoga during their menstrual period?
Yes, they absolutely can. And it's even strongly recommended by doctors, especially if you have discomforts during that time of the month. It's amazing for that. Inversions are really good in particular, especially when the head is below the heart. So anything where the head is below the heart is amazing feeling at that time if you're having discomfort at that time of the month. Yes.
How about a woman during pregnancy?
Yes, I did while I was pregnant with my daughter too, and she turned out fine. So yes, a lot of yoga studios offer prenatal yoga. That's for pregnant women, as well as if they don't offer that, there's also restorative yoga, which uses props. So like pillows, blocks, straps, stuff like that. So yes, there's always something for them as well. Correct. Yes.
Yes. Well, one person just sent in a question, and I think we already touched on it, but I'll read it nonetheless. And they're asking, how often do you do yoga? And
every day.
And for how long? And I said,
I practice every day. So a daily practice, for you to really excel in the yoga practice, you would practice every day. At least 30 minutes a day. I try to do at least an hour every day.
But somebody listen will say, Lord, I don't know if I can manage that every day. Okay.
Listen, it could just be light stretches. When I'm at the gym and I'm working out, I do a couple of stretches and then I get to the machine. So yes, just light stretches. Yeah. I'm not saying to do a whole bunch of sun salutations like I do or anything like that, but just light stretches, the splits, the back bending, just a couple of stretches, and you're good to go.
I noticed that the yoga studios, they have a kind of machine that is supposed to stretch you, or I'm not too sure. A kind of machine.
Not at the yoga studios. I know they have like a Pilates studio.
Oh, Pilates, right. You're right. Absolutely.
Pilates, yes.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks for the correction.
So, how do you fuel your body for yoga? Is it the same basic nutrients like anybody else, or you have to have a yoga diet?
There's really no yoga diet, but a lot of yoga practitioners are vegetarians or vegans. I'm a vegetarian, pescatarian, I would say, but a lot of them are. I think it's just a matter of choice. And then yoga involves eating clean and fueling the body with the right stuff. So I think that's why a lot of us are vegetarians, vegans, or pescatarians. But no, just I think when you think of a practitioner or a yogi, coconut water is all I could think of. Coconut water, lots of coconut water. I practice hot yoga, so I always have to replenish. So I'm always, when I take classes, I don't teach it, but when I take classes, I take hot yoga classes. So we're in a room of over 100 degrees. So all I can think about is replenishing when I get out of there. So when you think of yoga, we're always thinking coconut water, but no special diet.
Okay,
so I'm looking at my notes, and I'm just going to go through, and then I'm going to ask you to, even though our listeners might not know what the actual pose looks like, but so there is studies coming from Johns Hopkins University that says that yoga is good for increasing balance, flexibility, strength, endurance, right? So is there any one pose that would cover all of those?
I would say the key pose that I've been taught, it would be downward facing dog. That's probably one of the key postures. because downward facing dog tends to work pretty much most of the muscles on the back, all the way from the shoulders all the way down to the heels. So even so in downward facing dog, I don't know, think about an inverted V shape. So the palms are connected to the mat as well as the feet is connected to the mat. So inverted V shape, downward facing dog.
It's similar to what we're talking about when I told you that I use some yoga for my high jumpers, whereby they have to, like do the same thing, hands down, feet down on the ground, on the floor, and then you gotta raise the hip a little bit, then open the legs and go. Okay, all right, good. I saw something on your page that is similar to what I use.
Yes. All so in downward facing dog, it's pretty much as long as you the hands are separated about shoulder width apart, drawing the shoulders down the back, lifting the hips to create the weight to melt the heels down. So in downward facing dog, you pretty much want to get the heels as close to the mat as you can, as well as the palms.
Good. Same thing. That's the same thing I'm talking about. Good. All right. It says yoga helps with back pain. What kind of pose do you use for back pain?
There's so many. There is wheel and bridge, which is amazing for back bending or for back pain. Also, any kind of forward folds is good, whether you're seated, bending forward, or seated, folding forward. Those are amazing for back pains.
Okay. And the next one, it says yoga can ease arthritis symptoms. That's unbelievable. Wait a minute, no, release arthritis symptoms.
Because remember, your arthritis, you always have pains all over the body. So just stretching, just mild stretching of the shoulders or the back or the legs does help with the arthritis pain.
So before I answer the next question, so maybe yoga as a form of discipline is more holistic than most other disciplines then.
Correct. I would say that, yes.
Wow.
In defense of yoga.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
Yoga benefits heart health. In this time where we have COVID and so many people are stressed out and don't eat right and all of that, so he's saying, what pose would you use for like heart health?
For the heart, I would say any kind of heart opener. So usually anything back bending will be opening your heart. Sun salutations, like I talked to you about, those sun salutations, those are good for the heart openers as well. Yeah, anything pretty much back bending would be opening up your heart, and those are really good for heart health.
Okay, and I'm not going to go more than 5. The last one is yoga relaxes you and help you to sleep better, even with people who have sleep disorders.
Listen, after a practice of mine, a lot of the poses will relax you so much that you will just, when your head hits that pillow, that's it, you're done, you're gone. Nothing else, whatever else is going on around you doesn't really matter, because you're just in your own zone, because you're so relaxed. Once the body's relaxed, you can sleep through pretty much anything, right? So that's pretty much what yoga does for you.
Okay, so but I want to know though, because you've been answering some questions, but I just tell you a little bit about yourself. Where do you give personal sessions? Where do you practice? Do you run a clinic? How can we all rush into you?
You could all find me. I mean, I live in Florida. I know this is all over. So I live in Florida. I teach for LA Fitness. Practice. Awesome. Yes, I teach for LA Fitness. And I practice at the Yoga Joint in Fort Lauderdale. That's where I take hot yoga classes. It's an amazing, amazing studio. But you can find me at LA Fitness. That's where I teach.
Okay, awesome. Making notes here.
Yeah, but so then I went through her page on Facebook. Man, I did not know that there were so many moves in yoga. And like I said, we always talk about it, that I want our program to be a different program. Wanted to bring this into something, and I look at her page and I'm like, yes, this is the person I want to bring on. And then remembering that she's a Russian also, I said we have to bring her on, because we want to show people how powerful this high school is. You know, I guess any high school would say the same thing. But we have a powerful group of individuals that stands out. But sometimes we kind of stay into our shell, so to speak, because I think we're just thinking about Russies is from this little country area. We can't show up ourselves too much. No, we got to start doing that. And so what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to bring out a lot of Russian who are in various areas that are sitting back there that nobody knows about. And so I want people to go onto your page. You can tell them how to get onto your page and see some amazing poses that Angela does. You know, it was unbelievable to me when I went through and look at it. It was unbelievable.
So we need to know the page, how to get on, what's the page?
Yes, so I'm just on Instagram under Angela Yoga. So ANGELA Yoga, YOGA.
And that's Instagram.
Instagram, yes.
Oh.
Do we have?
What about the Facebook thing now?
Facebook, I don't do really for my yoga, but yes.
I thought I heard Ken say about Facebook, really. It's Instagram, man.
Because we're friends on Facebook. I've been on Facebook. She got some poses on Facebook.
Yes, I do have poses on Facebook.
I guess the cream of the crop poses on Instagram then.
Instagram, yeah, that's where it is. Instagram, yes.
I mean, I was impressed. Like I'm really not very familiar with the exercise or the discipline, even though I use a little bit of it. So when I went on and saw her flexibility and her strength, it's amazing. It's just amazing. So you just by looking at her on some of these poses, you can see that strength and power and flexibility and endurance has to be some of the key areas in yoga.
Yes. So we always think of yoga as just basic sitting down, basic stretches. What I teach and what I do, there's no end to this practice called yoga. I'm always learning. I'm always a student. There's the postures just go on and on and on, and they're always adding new things, and I'm always up for the challenge. So I love it.
But even though, despite the restriction due to COVID, I am assuming that a lot of people, based on the mental aspect of what people have to face as a result of the COVID epidemic or the COVID pandemic, right? I'm wondering, despite the restriction and the number of people within, like say a student, LA Fitness, for example. So have you seen an increase in the demand for people for yoga as it relates to the effect of the pandemic?
Yes, so not the gym so much because people are a little bit scared going in, but I do have fellow teachers that are doing a lot of YouTubes and a lot of classes on YouTube. And they're doing really, really well. A lot of people really need this whole yoga, whether it's the meditative side or just to relax or just the physical aspect of it. So a lot of people are really tuning in. She's had quite a bit of followers now on YouTube, taking her classes and stuff. So there's a lot of demand for that now online, though. Online, yes.
Are there any more questions, John? Do we have anybody?
No. No more yet. No.
So I spoke to some of the females on our forum, and there was one particular individual who was interested in seeing you doing the exercise or the poses, not exercise because that's the correct terminology, poses. And we weren't able to connect that, and we were trying to get the still photographs also, but that would take a little bit of work also. We weren't able to do that. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you be willing to come back on our program and so we can have some of the live poses so that people can see?
Absolutely. I would love to.
That's what I expect from a Russian. That's exactly what I expect from a Russian.
Yes, absolutely. Yoga is my passion. I have no problem sharing it. I love to share.
Yeah, because we like we oftentimes, and I know John hear it too, we talk about we talk about power up the ladies and big up the ladies, but we have to kind of internalize the whole, I'm sorry, internalize the whole thing and make it a reality. Excuse me. Ladies, we got to get some more people onto the program that discuss areas that are traditionally female areas. So of course we want to bring you back on and we want to try to get something additional from you. So we're asking you to come back on as soon as possible, and then we can arrange for you to do the poses so that people can see exactly. But in the meantime, for our audience, I think you would benefit tremendously if you log on to her page and
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do that right now, actually.
yeah,
As
look at some of these poses, because I saw the riffraff on, so to speak, on Facebook. I can't wait to go over what's there for me to see, because it was amazing to me. I
Thank you.
didn't know that anybody could manipulate the body that much. I did not know that. I tell you the truth.
get all possible practice.
Yes, yes, and I always get asked, oh, you must have did ballet, or you were a dancer. It's all from yoga. And I was told at times in classes, the teacher says, oh, you would never get into this pose because you're a little bit too muscular for that. But it just takes practice. If I can do it without any kind of as far as ballet or dance or anything like that, we can all do it. I was never a gymnast, none of that stuff. What you see on my page is just me practicing yoga and just having a daily practice and putting the work in, and that's it. The result will come.
But we'll adapt.
Before we go, there's something interesting I wanted you to point out. So I was talking to Angela John, and Angela was saying that her primary reason for doing yoga is for personal benefit. It's not for gain, personal gain. It's for, not for income. It's for personal benefit. So pretty much her whole idea is that, well, you know what? Most of my interest is on that. So even though she's out there, are you explaining to them, Angela? I want to explain. You go ahead and explain to them, because you was trying to explain to me the other night that you do teach, but really your focus is more on yourself.
Right. Well, yes. So when you teach, it's different than when you're taking a class. So I teach classes because I'm giving to my students, because they're whatever I'm offering them as far as the meditations. I could think it's the meditative side of it. The physical aspect, we can all do it, flow through it, no problem. But the meditative side, what you receive at the end is what you receive. So for me, in order for me to get that, I don't get the same thing from teaching. So I have to take a class to really experience that mind and body connection. Right. So that's pretty much it. I guess she's trying to explain to you that it's for personal reasons that she does it. I have to take a class for personal reasons as well. I could practice here all I want, or I could teach at the gym. But when you go to a class and you receive that benefit from the practice and meditative side of it, it's more than you need, more than you need. We all need it in our lives.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Right. So then, it was good. It was good.
Yes, I enjoyed it. And Angela, we are so happy to have invited you onto our show. And there's a lot that I learned. I went and did my research and so forth, but just hearing it from the master, then there's a lot that I learned just listening to you. And we just want to say how much we appreciate you taking time out from me. You have a very busy schedule to come and share your expertise with us. And again, we are definitely going to be inviting you back to come onto our show and do some of the poses so that our audience can benefit from doing some of the poses. I might try some of them myself with my own.
There you go.
John.
I would love to, guys. I would love to. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's nice to represent Rosie's High. Had an amazing time when I went to school there. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
How come nobody never said that they had a bad time at Rosie's High School? I don't.
It's the school everybody wants to be. Come on. We won all the matches in football. Come on. You know that.
Okay. All right. So once again, thanks very much. And John, we'll talk. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye. Bye, John.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Eh?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Happy Friday Eve,
Yeah.
everyone.